Yo, what is up guys, your boy IzuKage here with the long awaited part 2 of What If Deku Was Rick Sanchez. And yo, if you guys want to enjoy the video, why not subscribe? Yeah, I have time, I'll wait. Oh, you didn't subscribe? You'd probably want to change your mind. I'm just playing, but something a lot of people has been spamming in the comments, even when it's not a Rick, even when it wasn't like part 1 of Rick. So whatever, you know, you guys probably know what it is. That's coming in this part as well, so stick around to find out how that goes. And yeah, let's get into the what if. Yo guys, IzuKage here. Just want to say, like, I'm editing the video right now and I mess up a lot. I keep forgetting that All Might is a villain. So every time I mess up, you're gonna hear this play. All Might is a villain. Okay, let's get back into the video. Okay, it's been a while, so yeah, I think you guys are due for a little recap. So Izuku's mom unfortunately died, you know, after she knocked over some liquids on Izuku's workbench. So he manages to create the portal gun, and after hopping through a few dimensions, he finally reaches one, and it seems pretty similar to his own, except All Might is evil. And speaking of evil All Might, that's where we ended the last part, with him leaving the like the test area for the entrance exams. So after leaving the training grounds, a week later, Izuku gets his letter. And he didn't actually get it. Nejire comes banging on his door, like knocking on his front door, like damn near breaking it. And Izuku finally answers, and she shoves the letter in his face. You know, she's really excited. She says, it's here, it's here. She's like jumping up, and she's like, I hope you don't mind, I already read it. And Izuku just sighs and says, I expected as much. Well, did I get in? And she's just grinning from ear to ear and gives him the biggest hug, which is, you know, she answered him without words. So Izuku hearing this, no, Inko hearing this joins the hug, and with an unenthusiastic Izuku being crushed by the two. So after barely surviving their assault, Izuku and Nejire go out to celebrate. You know, they go to a nice restaurant, some Gordon Ramsay stuff, and you know, they had ice cream on a bench after, real romantic. You know, Izuku has class. So a few days before the first day at UA, Izuku decides to check in on Bakugou, and after all, he doesn't have a large ego and kind of friendly in this dimension. So Izuku visits his house, and Mitsuki answers the door. She's like, oh Izuku, I haven't seen you in so long. And you know, she gives Izuku a massive hug, and since Mitsuki is pretty tall, Izuku's head ended up in between her milk jugs, you know. So but hey, Izuku wasn't complaining. So after some small talk about how much he's grown, and you know, Mitsuki calls down Bakugou, and him and Izuku, you know, they talk for a bit, and they went on a small walk. From them talking for a bit, Izuku realized Bakugou is actually pretty smart. He's an intellectual person. He kind of has the same, yeah, I can't even know how to explain it. He just thinks the same as Izuku, but you know, not as smart. So because, you know, if you remember in part 1, I said Bakugou actually went to the same primary school as Ida. But yeah, so since they were close neighbors, Deku and Bakugou still knew each other. So can I speak? So Izuku decides to show Bakugou something. You know, he took him down to a rundown shed at the edge of the city, and you know, at the edge of the city where the forest tree starts. And you know, from his original mom, you know, dying, you know, he wants to play it safe. So he makes sure no one could stumble upon his lab, and he takes Bakugou in, and he's amazed by all the screens and different gadgets. He's, you know, he can't focus on one. He's swapping between one, like seeing how it works, and Izuku is just face palming. But what really catches his eyes is Izuku's portal gun, and Bakugou says, is that an interdimensional time-space transportation device? And Bakugou is foaming at the mouth at this point, and you guys might be wondering, how does he know about it? Yada yada yada. I'll say he had a label below it. I don't know, man. So yeah, Bakugou is just a huge intellectual nut. So Bakugou is foaming at the mouth, and Izuku just slaps him on his head. You know, just like, get a hold of yourself. You're drooling all over my stuff. So Bakugou, realizing how much he's fangirling right now, and he fixes himself up. I don't know, but yeah. So he questions Izuku. He's like, have you ever traveled through dimensions before? And you know, Izuku got a bit, you know, sad from the question. He's remembering all the people, not all the people, but he's remembering his mom that died and stuff like that. So he's a bit sad. So Bakugou, seeing this, he's like, okay, touchy subject, sorry. But yeah, he's like, can you show me how some of this stuff works? Okay, so I'm gonna pretend like this isn't being recorded a day later from the last time you heard me, but whatever. Let's just get right back into it. So they're testing out some gadgets in the shed, and you know, Bakugou really wants to see how the portal gun works. So Deku, he finally, you know, he says, okay, you can try it. So not you can try it, but he shows him a dimension. So it's just random, something random. So you know, they go through and they travel to, so they hop through the portal, and it's a random dimension. They actually travel to a bunch of different dimensions, like the furniture universe, where people are furniture are people, and pizza are phones. Just some weird and wacky ones like that come up in the show, not often, but you know, it's recognizable. And also, I want to ask you guys something. Do you want Izuku to be a Rick, like, you know, like a literal Rick? So, cause you know, there's like the citadel of Ricks. You can see all the different type of Ricks. Maybe he's just really different from the others, and Bakugou is really different from Amori. So yeah, you guys can tell me if you want that in the comments. Maybe I can put them traveling to the citadel of Ricks or something like that. So they go to the post-apocalyptic. Can I speak? They go to the post-apocalyptic. Can I speak? They go to the apocalyptic. They go to the post-apocalyptic universe, like the universe where Rick, Morty, and Summer went to. You know, not Rick. Morty had this giant hand, and Summer got like a boyfriend there. Yeah. So that universe. So when they travel there, a gang of bikers roll upon them, and after, you know, getting roughed up a bit, Izuku pushes a button on his watch, and it am I illiterate today? It creates a force field that pushes like everyone away. And you know, Bakugou, seeing this chance for him to attack, because he can still use his quirk, obviously. So he tries to launch an explosion at them, and the force from the explosion knocks Izuku's portal gun like out of his pocket and out of the force field. And you know, the bikers, seeing this, they grab it. They're like, ooh, shiny. And you know, they ride off with it in their gang. And Izuku's just angry at this point, while Bakugou is freaking out.
Oh jeez, Rick, that's not good. What are we gonna do? I have to be back at school right now. How are we gonna get back home?
So they go to the town, and they see a bunch of like fights going on. People fighting to the death. People fighting over bread, you know, if they even have that in this world. So Izuku goes searching for the portal gun, while Bakugou is just wandering around. And so Bakugou gets, so while he's walking around, Bakugou gets ran upon by a few bikers, like 3 of them, and they try using pipes to beat him down, but you know, a simple explosion knocks them back. And seeing that this is like this is a less advanced world, there's no medicine or anything, so those 3 are probably dead. So he's walking around some more, and he sees a crowd of people surrounding something. He pushes through the crowd, and he sees people fighting for the portal gun. It was put up as sort of a prize for the winner. And you know, he sees this, and he wants to go back and to tell Deku, and He pushes his way back through the crowd, and as he walks out, he sees... Before I go into that, let's go back to Izuku's perspective. So he's been searching for the Portagon for, it's been over an hour, and he's just getting frustrated. So he starts collecting some scraps and develops a small mech suit, with Gallic guns on the side. And he mounts the mech and busts through the small shed he was building it in, and he begins mowing down everyone in sight. And after about 10 minutes, he's killed half the people at the camp. And right now, he's slowly having a disregard for life, just like Rick. Rick will kill anyone, to be honest. So he begins walking to the group. He sees a group of people crowding around someone fighting, in the distance. And he's going up there, and as he's about to blast at the crowd, Bakugou runs out waving his arms, and he runs up and enters the second suit in the mech. He comes in, he's like, geez, I don't think this is a good idea. And Izuku's like, shut up, Bakugou, watch and learn. And he presses a button and 2 rockets come out and explode the entire crowd. And Izuku runs in and grabs the Portagon, and Bakugou is like, oh, I'll hold it for you. It's like, no, you're the reason we're in all of this. Now we're going home. So they hop out of the mech suit and jump through the portal back to their universe. And when they get back, Bakugou is just getting death glares from Izuku. He's like, damn it, Bakugou, let's just go home. So they walk home, and the next day rolls around. Izuku heads to school. This is the first day of school, and he sees Bakugou as he's walking in. He daps him up, even though he almost, got them killed. But hey, forgive and forget, right? So as he's walking to class, he passes Nejire, and she runs up giving him a hug, and she tells him to have a good day and stuff like that. So Bakugou and Izuku walk into class, and Izuku senses a teacher behind the desk. So he tells Bakugou, and they head towards their seats. And one thing I forgot to explain in the last part, his quirk, Omni Fabrication, it just means he can create anything. So I'll honestly just be pulling out some random powers, so you can just give me some ideas in the comments down below. So he can sense people from a chip he implanted in his brain. So Mr. Aizawa, so they go sit down and they try to be quiet because they know he's sleeping. And Mr. Aizawa finally wakes up, and he's like, oh, why are you guys so loud? And he's just arguing at the class, telling them just like to shut up, or I don't know, he expelled them. And he sees the 2 in the back that were actually being quiet, and he's like, can't you follow those 2 examples? And everyone just looks back at them. He's like, come on, man, like, you didn't have to show us up like that. So he tells them to go outside and get ready for a quirk apprehension test. And Izuku's clothes just change automatically, like tiles flipping around, changing his clothes, if you can imagine that. So someone in the comments wanted him to have a robot arm, so your wish is my command. So they ask the first person to come up, and Izuku goes up, and people are actually a bit surprised because Izuku got that Rick physique. He's pretty scrawny but tall, and like as tall as Ida, and he doesn't seem all that strong. So he goes up to throw the ball. Mr. Aizawa hands it to him, and he's holding it. The hand he's holding it in turns into a giant air cannon, and it blasts the ball directly up like to space. And Mr. Aizawa looks at the little screen, and people are like, what did he get, and he turns it and he's like, infinity. And everyone's amazed. They're like, whoa, a robot arm, that's kind of cool. They're kind of like working it out in their head, like, how could someone this scrawny get first? So they have the other challenges, and Izuku just blows everyone out of the water by the different stuff he's invented. So it comes to it, and Izuku finishes first overall, with Bakugou second, Todoroki third, stuff like that. Would Todoroki be third? Yeah, sure, why not? And Mineta does get expelled. Bro, I don't care about Mineta. He can just get him out of here, to be honest. So next is the hero versus villain training. So All Might busts through the door and he's like, what did he say? So next they have the hero versus villains test, and All Might comes busting through the door. Oh my god, I'm so dumb. All Might is a villain. Oh boy. So it's not All Might coming through the door like a hero. It's Aizawa. So Aizawa instructs everyone to get into their hero gear, and yeah, so they do, and they go to the training area. Now everyone comes out complimenting each other's hero suits, like, oh my god, you look so nice, oh my god, like just complimenting each other. So the matchups are the same as canon: Izuku and Uraraka versus Bakugou and Kirishima. So Izuku doesn't really talk with Uraraka coming up with any fancy plan because he knows he can completely destroy these guys. So they head into the building, and they start walking up, and they hear explosions coming towards them. And this is by the time they're on the second floor, and the wall just explodes, and Bakugou comes out, sparks off his hands, and he rushes towards Izuku. And he launches a massive explosion using both arms at Izuku. And when the smoke cleared, he's just standing here, and he did this. Bakugou, he's a bit annoyed, so he goes in for more explosions, and Izuku's just yawning at this point because he has a sort of invisible force field in front of him, so his attacks can't phase him. So he takes a gun out his pocket and shoots Bakugou, and everyone's like, whoa, did he just shoot him? And Bakugou, he just like kind of gets electrocuted and knocks out on the ground. And Mr. Aizawa is like, no, as you can obviously see, he got paralyzed. And people are like, so breathing a sigh of relief. So he goes up to the floor with Uraraka still behind. She's not really doing anything. And they reach the bomb room. And Ida is like, villains, you are nuts. How did you get past my defenses? And Ida does reciprocal burst, trying to kick Izuku, but it goes the same as Bakugou. He's just kicking air. He's really not doing anything. And Uraraka, wanting to do something, while Ida is so focused on Bakugou, she sneaks behind him and touches the bomb. So Ida caught up in his fight trying to catch Izuku somehow. He just hears, hero team wins. And he's like, what? How did the villains achieve a victory? And he looks behind him and sees Uraraka, and he's like, oh, I'm so I don't know, he's just critiquing himself. So they head back to the observation room, and Momo, she's listing off everyone's strengths and stuff. And Mr. Aizawa is like, who do you think is the MVP? Yeah, she says she thinks Izuku is the MVP, but he did a lot of things wrong, like not incorporating Uraraka and not taking down Ida when he clearly had the ability to, with a gun. And Mr. Aizawa is looking at what's her name, Momo, and he's like, yeah, that's basically what I thought as well. So yeah, the other people go, and that's it for that day. So the next day, the USJ. Okay, I want to do this a little bit different. Since you guys have been asking for Pickle Rick so much, hey, you got it. So the day when they're supposed to go to the USJ, Izuku doesn't go to school. Actually, he goes to the shed because he wanted to work on something. And Bakugou, he went to school, and he doesn't see Izuku anywhere. And Mr. Aizawa is asking, does anyone know where Izuku is? And Bakugou says, I think so. And he runs over to, he leaves school and runs over to the shed. And so Bakugou is walking up to the shed, and there's mirrors on it. Not mirrors, there's windows on the shed, and he doesn't really see anyone. So he goes in to take a closer look. He opens the door, looks around. It's a pretty small shed, so no, he doesn't see anyone. And as he's about to close the door, he hears someone calling his name. He's like, "Hey, Bakugou." And he starts looking around like, what? And then it gets louder and he hears it coming from the shed. And he's like, Izuku, are you invisible or something? And you're just gonna fart on me? It's not a joke, bro. And he's like, no, just flip the pickle over. And he's like, I don't know about that. I feel like I'm gonna touch it and you're gonna just tell me it's like some alien dick or something. And he's like, just flip it over. So Bakugou takes up like a screwdriver so he doesn't have to touch it like with his hands. And so when Bakugou flicks the pickle over, Izuku just shouts,
"I'm Pickle Rick!"
And Bakugou is staring at him like, and Izuku's like, what do you mean, and? He's like, you're a pickle, okay? And Izuku's getting offended, like, I'm a pickle, who else do you know can turn into a pickle? Can Superman turn into a pickle? No, I didn't think so. And he's like, okay, what's the point of being a pickle? Bro, I don't think you're getting it. I turned myself into a pickle. Let that sink in. Who else can do that? Bro, Thanos can't turn himself into... Bro, he's just like getting mad because, he won't realize how great he is. So he's like, okay, whatever, you're a pickle, but we have to go to school. We have rescue training. And he's like, oh, don't worry about it. I installed some machinery in it so I can at least move. And yeah, this time, so the whole sewer thing, that is pre-done. So, some arms pop out of him and he just hops onto Bakugou's shoulder. And, they run to the USJ. And on the way there, Bakugou gets a message on his phone from Ida. He's running towards the school, but he messages Bakugou like, villain attack at USJ, I don't know, get here soon or something like that. So Bakugou sees this and starts using his explosions to like run faster towards the USJ. Yeah, he gets there like right before All Might. All Might is a villain. And Bakugou busts through the door and everyone's like, oh my god, we're saved. But then they see Bakugou and they're like, oh, okay. And, he runs down the stairs to 13 and Izuku just hopped off his shoulder and started running past, like down towards where Nomu is. And the Nomu is like have Aizawa in his hands and he's about to snap his neck. But Izuku runs up and, his robot arm from the pickle just turns into a giant saw and cuts the Nomu's arm off. And, the Nomu's like leaking blood, but it just regenerates. And Mr. Aizawa sees this, thing and he's like, is that a pickle? And, he's just weirded out. And so Izuku... So the Nomu stumbling back a bit and Izuku still has the like laser, from in the show, and he turns it on and starts cutting off the Nomu's limbs, and it just keeps regrowing. And Izuku's like, okay. So I'm guessing, he does this, he like cuts off his head and, he sees that the body starts regrowing from its head. So he's like, okay, so the head is where it's at. So after the Nomu regenerates, Izuku wraps up the power on the laser beam and, shoots directly at Nomu's head and just like goes up, down, crisscross, just completely obliterates the Nomu. And as it falls down, All Might busts in saying, I am here. All Might is a villain. And, he sees, this is what he walks into. Aizawa, holding his neck in pain. And he sees a pickle that just took down this giant bird thing. And All Might is just like, what the? Like, he's like, yeah, quirks can be anything, but what is this? So, he goes to Aizawa, check if he's okay. And Izuku, or Pickle Rick, he turns towards Shigaraki and he's itching. He's like, why is there pickle that took down Nomu? These guys have some kind of cheat codes or something. And he's just like freaking out. And Izuku turned the laser towards him and he like shoots it at his shoulder and this takes off his whole left arm. And he's like, Kurigiri, get me out of here. And Izuku shoots one at Kurigiri, but I'll say the metal brace he had on, like it hit that and it just bounced off. So Kurigiri had enough time to get Shigaraki and himself away. And Izuku rounded up all the other villains, and you know, All Might's looking down at this pickle. You have to remember, a pickle's what, like, I don't know, like 5 inches long maybe, and All Might is 7 foot. He's looking down at this thing and he's like, "Thank you." And oh my god, I keep forgetting, All Might is a villain. It's so natural to me. He's a villain. Oh my god, bro. So yeah, Izuku just takes care of all of these shrubs. You know, All Might doesn't do anything. So yeah, just omit All Might, please. So yeah, I just keep forgetting, man. It's so natural just for me to like say All Might. It's weird not having him in the story. But yeah, Izuku takes care of everyone at the USJ, and I'll say Aizawa comes up to the pickle and he's like, what are you? And you know, Izuku is like, "What, you don't remember your own student?" And Aizawa is like, Izuku? And you know, he's like, "Bingo." And he's like, "Why are you a pickle?" And he's like, "Because I can." It's like, okay. So you know, everyone gets caught by the police. The UA heroes come, but you know, everyone's caught and they're all confused how a pickle did all of this. And yeah, so I feel like that's a good note to be left off on. So thank you guys for sticking around to the end of the video. Part 2, part 3 definitely this weekend, so look forward to that. And yeah, if you guys liked it, if you like my content in general, why not subscribe? You know, if you subscribe, I can, you know, feel more motivation, you know, get more videos out. So yeah, do that. And you know, if you don't, then you already know what's gonna happen. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the next What If. Comment "I am Pickle Rick" with 4 exclamation marks if you made it this far.